Welcome to GC Cars. My name is Eric.
And I'm Jesse.
And it's the all-new Lincoln Nautilus. Woof woof. Who let the dogs out?
What?
I'm sorry. New Lincoln Nautilus.
I'm gonna dox him in a second.
Before we do that though, if you like inches, if you like lots of inches, this car is for you because it's packing on the inside. It's packing a lot of inches on the inside. We're talking about screens. Just to clarify.
We don't know what's on the screens, but
Before we look at that, let's take a look at the exterior. This is colored in white platinum metallic with the jet appearance package.
speaking of inches, 22 inches.
Which is really big. I like it. Stop talking about inches. I like the front. It looks sharp.
It's aggressive. It has like a kind of, it has a presence. It really does.
Yeah, so this is kind of a new style. This is actually also made in China. We're gonna get to that later and why that is and what that means, but we also got the dual tone. It's a very interesting, they tried a lot of new things, which I appreciate. We got our door handles up top, nothing here. These are also electronic door handles, so there's a button which then releases it. It's not actually a physical control.
Don't know how I feel about it. I like that they're trying something new, but I hate that it's like a piano black. You're gonna be touching this every time you get it. It's never gonna stay clean. Never.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We have a little bit of a kind of pattern here. I know, it just kind of breaks it up a little bit. Of course, the dual tone, and then probably the cleanest rear end I've ever seen is probably using a bidet, to be fair.
Arguably too clean. I mean, we got our Lincoln logo, which depending on your height, you might see, you might not.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing else. It kind of reminds me of like a GTX car where they couldn't buy the rights to it, so they just left it kind of.
Yeah, just like don't want to copyright infringe too much. I always dog point for like all-wheel drive badges and so on, so having it completely clean, I can't complain about it. Could I do with like a Nautilus on it? Yeah, but honestly, I appreciate the minimal.
So do I, but I mean, let's get to the inches.
Yes. Okay, inside the Nautilus, and this is quite different.
Yeah, I've never seen this before. I mean, we have seen Hyperscreen before.
Yes.
But this is implemented way differently.
Yeah, so the Hyperscreen, for everyone that doesn't know, for the two people that are not aware of the Mercedes-Benz Hyperscreen, is essentially the whole dashboard down here is a full screen. It is bigger than this 48-inch screen setup. However, I think this is better because I don't have to look down. It's way up in my peripheral vision. And with that comes a whole new infotainment system. So we have this like 10, 12-ish inch screen right here, which is basically our control screen. And we have all the settings, all the stuff in here. It's a new infotainment, Android Auto, motive based, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay wireless. And we have all the settings, ambient lighting. I can change on the right-hand side of the screen. I can essentially have whatever I want. If I don't want to have the weather there, I can put my tire pressures there. It is a very fast screen. The screens are beautiful. OLED screens, it just looks great. Let me just put my weather back there. I can have it in calm screens. We have different kind of themes for all of it.
There's a lot going on.
Right? Yeah, there is a lot going on. And basically, this is my gauge cluster replacement, I would say, right?
And heads-up display replacement as well.
True, exactly, because this is kind of so high that having a HUD is probably, first of all, not possible, and secondly, it would be a little redundant. So we have Google Maps integrated. This will replace with Android Auto, Google Maps if I have it active, and our gauge cluster. It's very minimalist. It's very Lincoln. I very much like this.
I like it. I will say that this whole design would have been maybe cooler even without this.
I agree.
Right? It would look more futuristic and more minimalistic.
It would be even cleaner.
Yeah.
The only thing they have to then solve is, okay, how do we control
Voice.
the rest of the screen? You could voice, so actually funny enough, I took this to IKEA the other day. The main screen failed to start up properly. It only displayed the Lincoln logo, everything else worked. So I didn't want to restart the car. So I just relied on the voice commands through Google Assist, which worked. I could adjust everything through it. It was just kind of funny. HVAC controls are entirely in the screen, so there's no physical controls. We have a permanent bar here. I don't love it because heated and cooled seats are here. And you just have to tap, 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 unless you want to ask your Google, and I have to tap it quite a lot. And our vents are also
actually kind of unique.
Yeah, I think that the Taycan does it as well. But so if you want to adjust your vents, you don't like adjust them physically, you actually point them in this 3D thing, or you can set it up through like presets, on body, off body, motion, close. You can't set it to motion, so it's
pretty
constantly
cool.
moving. It is really cool, however.
Until it breaks.
Yeah, that's why I'm like it's cool until it breaks. I don't have any experience on when this will break. You never know, you don't know. But especially in this constant movement, I'm like, It's cool, but I'm a little scared of it. Let's just keep it in that for now, though. And the infotainment itself, I know we're just, this is the big thing. Let's just finish talking about this first. Super responsive. It looks good. I like it, of course, because it's Amazon, because it's Android Auto based. You have all the apps. You can do car fireplace. That is the most useless app I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I thought it would go into like the big screen, but no.
Supposed to watch that while you're driving, or?
No, you can't actually.
Okay.
It's just if you want to have your, I guess you can put on your heated seats.
You're on a first date. You want a little romance.
Right? It's just like put on the.
Come sit by the fire, babe.
Right. Anyhow, there's an inches joke to be made here. We also have digital scent. If you want to, let's put in some violet cashmere, which you're gonna feel and smell in a few.
Just adding to the romance.
Yeah, you can just just can really set the mood.
No, did he?
Anyhow, I think this is really cool, and what I really love about this is, I feel like the Lincoln, the designers, can you smell it? The violet cashmere. You can't smell it, of course, until 4D video is a thing. You won't be able to smell this. I feel like Lincoln it's taken a step back. What do we need in a car? How can we display it differently? Even the hyperscreen is really just an extension of kind of the previous concept. It's not dramatically new. This is a rethink.
Designers, you give them an inch, they take a yard.
Isn't it a mile?
Or many inches.
They only take a yard? They're supposed to take a mile?
It's basically, is that a yard? It's almost a yard.
Probably more than a yard. 48 inches is math. Anyhow.
Somewhere here.
So, next thing.
The steering wheel. It's like a...
What steering wheel?
Semi-yoke.
Yeah, it's a steering oval.
Steering oval. Yeah.
Or a steering oval.
Yeah.
It's very funny. It is good to use. It's a very different driving experience because the steering wheel is kind of has to be fairly low because of your screen up top. So this feels like I'm stepping into like a transportation pod. In a way, it feels very different than other cars that are more driver focused. Also very minimalist. You see only our cruise control button. Everything else is these buttons that are touch receptive. So basically, you see what it is, which is nice. You don't have to look down. You see it in your gauge cluster what this touch button does, and then you actually touch it to do whatever you want. It works really well. Super responsive. Once again, I like it. This is love or hate.
You'll have to get used to it.
But I got used to it. I think it's kind of cool.
Everything else here is pretty clean.
This is a big step up, I think. Material-wise, and like you said,
Wireless charger, of course.
a little small. This is an S21 Plus. It just about fits. Does your i15 Pro Max fit with a case? Probably not.
I think it might. Yeah, it
Okay,
fits, so
15
you
Pro
don't
Max
need
fits.
anything bigger than that.
Also, this is very smooth.
Yeah. Manual, but
Manual, true.
Fine with that.
And the buttons, this feels good. We have knurling on all of our switches, even our door switches. Leathers everywhere, metals where there's no leather.
everything feels nice, honestly. Like the seats are super comfortable. I know you love these seats.
Oh, Lincoln seats, the best seats in the industry, once again. So heated, ventilated, as we said, not simultaneously, bit of a bummer. Massaging seats, including bum massage, really well done. We have the individual flaps that are adjustable. It is really nice. A couple of things taken from the Mach-E, funnily enough. This thing, straight out of the Mach-E, and so our door open kind of electronic door handles.
They're kind of unique.
And you hear the Lincoln chimes. Do, 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 do. It's very unique.
Everything looks nice. This is kind of hit or miss. I don't know. It looks
Yes.
good, but it's in certain scenarios looks
I
good.
don't like how it looks during the day because you just see that plastic reflection. However, you might see a bit of color, that's the ambient lighting.
Yeah, I
At
see.
night it looks pretty cool because it's very intense, but it's just, that's my kind of the only issue I'd
But I
say.
get why they did it, right? It's a carry over.
Yeah,
from
it's
the
just
screen.
very like uniquely integrated. It feels good, it's comfy, rear seat experience.
I mean, you can't really ask for much more.
No, it's super spacious. We have USB-Cs in the front seats.
4
on
of
the back.
them?
Yeah, so 2 per side. Then we have an outlet at the bottom, heated seats on both sides. You can recline, you can slide forward if you need more storage room. Cup holders in the center, which fold out. That's the new one, we haven't seen that one yet. And then trunk space lastly, we got 38 inches. No, we're not in inches.
Too many inches.
38 cubic feet of space behind the second row. And if you put all of them down, about 65, which is pretty much just as much as a GLE will offer. Oh, and a big sunroof as well. I really like this.
I do too. A lot.
Should we hit the road?
Let's go.
All right, now in the Lincoln Nautilus, we're gonna put it into Excite, which is our sport mode. And then we can turn off traction control pretty easily here. Go into drive and brake torque, brake boost, and see how quick this goes. Actually not a terrible start.
Hey, made the stuff in the back move.
Yeah, right? There we go. Yeah, I mean, it's not fast, but
It's definitely not super torquey, but
it'll do the job, honestly. And it's not too loud while doing that. Like, you hear it, but it's like, I've heard worse, I think. So let's put it back into normal. And the traction control's back on. Let's put a Sonic Azure. And you know what? While we're here, I'm gonna put on my massage seat. Do you want a massage as well?
yeah, let's do that.
Massage and massage. Okay, perfect. So we have a 2-liter turbo 4 producing 250 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. That is the V6. Only the 2-liter remains.
Unfortunately.
And there's a hybrid option as well. This is not it, obviously.
Yeah.
And made it to an 8-speed automatic all-wheel drive. It's not a sporty car. It kind of stays out of the way. Honestly, I don't mind the 2-liter.
I mean, obviously, about it, an option.
It's not exciting. Yeah. It's not going to tow as much, whatever. Like, it stays out of the way, and that's kind of all I wanted to do, if I'm being honest. So, it's all right. It's not the focus of the Nautilus, I think. Lincoln is a little more relaxed, non-sporty compared to others. But we're going to put her back into Excite to see how this handles with our steering oval.
Let's see.
Could be quite interesting. Of course, you want to not go too hard. This is not a sports car after all. Ooh, good turn-in actually. Just had to fight the transmission there for a second. Didn't quite want to give me the downshift instantly. But hey, honestly, it's pretty good. It's about as good as I wanted to.
Pretty good for doing something that you really shouldn't be doing in it.
Yeah, right? It's not what the Nautilus is made for. And
right.
So I'm just trying to still figure out the drive modes here. There we go, normal. How about you jump behind the oval?
The oval.
Behind the oval.
I wonder if they have one of these in the Oval Office.
Oh, great.
Yeah. All right. Now behind the steering oval.
Yeah. Right quality and noise.
Suspension's pretty good.
I like it. You mentioned some jitteriness.
A little bit of that, and sometimes going over a bump, I feel a little bit of floatiness, which could be good depending on how you like your.
Yeah,
your
I
car
didn't
feel.
really feel it. I felt it being kind of compliant, but it's just I think it's just a different expectation. I find it very compliant over bumps. I like how it rides.
Maybe I'm just used to the firm suspension of my car. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. It's not as planted or settled, definitely. And noise-wise, I think it's pretty quiet. It's a quiet cabin, even out on the highway right now.
Coming to the stop sign, I will say the brakes
Yeah.
will take getting used to.
They're a little long.
Like as you start pressing the brake, you feel like you know what's coming, and then it kind of stiffens up at the end.
Yeah, it's a little tough to gauge really how much braking. Even after a week with me driving the car, it's been not super easy to gauge. Power's
Raw
there if
power,
you need
baby.
it. Yeah, it's not the fastest. It'll do. Which quickly tech. Of course, this has Blue Cruise as we've already talked about, which is
actually worked today.
Yeah, it actually works now. Finally, it only took like 2 years for it to work in Canada. So it's hands-free, autonomous driving on highways, or most like separated. What do you call it? Separated highways, not separated highways. Divided highways.
Yeah.
On most divided highways in Canada and the US. And it actually works now. It works really well. Automatic lane changing at the tap of your signal. And I liked it. I used it on the way here. It's still not as easy to use as Super Cruise. Super Cruise activates more often.
Yeah.
That's GM's system. But it's definitely making strides. It actually works now.
Better late than ever.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it's comfy to drive. I think I like the driving experience. How do you feel about the non-yoke wheel
Honestly,
thingy?
it's like it's not bad. It's not bad. I think it's going to be purely subjective.
Yeah, it feels it feels different though,
Like for
right?
me, where I usually drive like this, it works. It's not the worst, but
Yeah.
it's not quite as comfortable as a traditional wheel.
Right.
It works though. It's not.
I usually do 9 and 3, so I'm comfy with it. Or sometimes I go down if I'm like on the highway and just kind of hold the bottom of the oval.
If you had a traditional wheel, this screen setup wouldn't work, and I think the screen setup works so well.
It's worth it, you
Yeah.
say. So the funny thing is for me getting out of this, basically getting into this car, we just had a Bronco Raptor before, and I'm going to go into Gladiator after that. So it's a quite different vehicle, but I feel like this felt like if Ford would have invited me and said this is a 2030 Lincoln Nautilus, like preview.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been like, no, I don't believe this. I feel like this feels like a very much step up, both technologically and in terms of what Lincoln usually delivers.
the only point I'll make that, you know, there's one foot in this decade, and it's this. If you remove this, this would have totally given me like the futuristic vibe that you're talking about.
I wonder if they should have just made it like a touchpad or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like they couldn't quite figure out the last bit of it.
It just kind of detracts from this whole vibe a little bit.
I see what you mean. But I still love this 48-inch screen. It is so cool. It looks amazing. It is a completely new solution that I haven't seen integrated this way yet, and it works incredibly well. I bet you the Navigator's going to have that one when a new generation comes out, or even big. I don't know how they're going to make it even bigger, but
anyone who says size doesn't matter has a small infotainment screen.
Yeah, exactly right. Lastly, the price. Just the spec, top trim reserve is, which is top spec in Canada, just shy of 71,000 US, just shy of 82,000 Canadian. Okay, rank the three: XC90, GLE, Nautilus. 1 to 3. What do you say?
That's so tough.
Okay, I
already know I'm putting the XC90 in third place.
I agree. XC90 third place. First, second. This is really tough.
Like, if I had to pick one, I'm gonna pick the Mercedes, just because. Listen, we all have egos, and like there's something to be said about like brand image of Lincoln.
Yeah, it's the Mercedes is more hip.
More hip.
More hip. It's
more of a flex.
Cooler, and people will be more like, "Oh, you drive a Mercedes," instead of, "Oh, you drive a Lincoln," even though they cost the same.
Even though the screen is awesome.
Yeah. So I've driven the GLE 350 with a 2-liter. It wasn't as refined as this, so I think I'm picking Nautilus GLE XC90.
From a logical standpoint, removing ego, that makes sense.
If you're into tech, you're gonna love it. This is better than anything Mercedes puts on, I think. It's better than MBUX. It's better than Hyperscreen, in my personal opinion.
I agree.
And I think it's also the comfier car. It does luxury actually better, a little better than the Mercedes.
It does.
So, my opinion, a great effort by Lincoln, if you can live with it being built in China. Why is it built in China? Because the Nautilus used to be built just close to Toronto here in Oakville, but the plan has been retooled to build EVs, and they delayed that because, well, people don't want EVs as much as the government likes them to like it. So they had to retool it, delayed that, and now they kind of had to just import it from China temporarily. Apparently the next generation Nautilus is going to be US or Canada built again. So just so you know, it's not like it's cheaper. It's just they didn't have any way to build it.
Right.
But I understand if that's an issue for people. I like this. I think it's a really good effort. And I enjoyed it.
So did I.
All right, that is the Lincoln Nautilus. Thank you for watching this video on JC Cars. Pure testosterone! Oh! What the f is this piece of shit?
If you guys liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe. Should I just drive into a tree now, or?
And we'll see you next Friday at 8:15 a.m. Eastern for a whole lot more fun. Bye-bye.